Have you ever had that thought where you see yourself and you see the modern world, your generation, the people surrounding you, and you think us, the present time people, are superior than the people from the past? I mean superior not only morally or intellectually, but as people in general, just in a different level in humanity. Just because we have more access to information, just because in our modern times we get to travel around the world in a few hours, because we can learn any language if we want, just using our phones. We think we're superior because we have actually bigger dreams, ambitions, ideas, just because we have the choice, or we think we do, of being the next Steve Jobs in history. Whereas if you check people from the past, and I'm not talking about Mozart or Beethoven or Moises, I'm talking about villagers, the caveman, people who were trapped in the little town and they've never saw anything else from the world, because the only thing that mattered to them was surviving the next winter or surviving the wars that were coming, invaders, Vikings, conquerors, everything else. They didn't have the dreams we have now. They don't question reality in the same way we feel we question reality. Because I've had that feeling, like while I was studying at school and I was learning about those people, I didn't, it just felt that I was superior somehow, that all these people were just like the prologue of human history, and us, our generation, the modern time people, are the actual story that the universe was intended to tell. It's kind of a weird idea to think that just because these people were maybe living up to 30 years old and they were just doing the same over and over again day after day, we're inferior than us because we have Netflix and internet, and we take pictures for Instagram of the most popular places on earth. Like, we all can now hear Mozart's music, whereas back then none of them could. Only the rich and popular could actually have access to all this stuff. So we feel just because we have all these options, all these choices, we are just in a different level. We are the lucky ones. We live in privilege. And I was wondering, does everybody else feel the same way I do? Which I think, by the way, which is a wrong way of feeling. And I was asking around, yeah, most of people feel like they don't want to feel that way. It just happens that you learn about all these people and you kind of look down on them. You kind of feel like our times are superior. We're in it's like a ladder, and we're just higher for some reason, because we don't live in the Inquisition times, because we're not burning witches in the fire, because we look back and we can say slavery is bad, and we know for a fact that most people back then wouldn't agree with us, so we just somehow better, and it's an unavoidable feeling. And I was wondering, how does that really affect our lives? How having that idea of superiority can damage us or affect us? Are we screwing us over with this thought? I was reading about different concepts, and for example, we have the illusory superiority bias, a psychological phenomenon where people tend to overestimate their own abilities, knowledge, or qualities compared to others. It's kind of related to the Dunning-Kruger effect, where less competent individuals overestimate their capabilities. We also have the illusory superiority syndrome. I think that's how you pronounce it, illusory. It's a broader variant of the superiority bias, focused on the perception that I am wiser, more moral, or more valuable than others. And this can lead to, intolerance and a lack of openness to learning. I found this article about how the internet is making us more ignorant and intolerant, and it argues that excessive information and rapid access to data have created the illusion of knowledge and understanding, and people rely on superficial assumptions without analyzing sources or questioning information. Social media reinforces polarization and intolerance by exposing users only to opinions that they align with. It means that I am only constantly reading things I already believe in, and is constantly just supporting my idea that I am right and pretty much everybody else who disagrees with me is wrong. We have the cognitive biases and the relationship to subjective well-being that explores how biases influence people's perception of the world and their happiness. The problem of us believing that our generation is superior than the ones previous than us fuels an extreme sense of individualism. If we believe that our existence is more valuable than the ones who came before us, it becomes easy to assume that I am more valuable than the people around me. Empathy weakens, the sense of community fragments, and the search of meaning becomes egocentric. This illusion of superiority blinds us to our own limitations. If we assume that we have reached a level of enlightenment that past generations did not have, we risk ceasing to question ourselves, believing that our worldview is the ultimate one. And when we stop questioning, we stop evolving. Perhaps true progress does not lie in believing that we have become something more than our ancestors, but in recognizing that we're still human beings, trapped in the context of their time, trying to make sense of their existence.